If you have your Bibles, I want you to turn to James. We're going to be reading from James chapter 1, starting with verse 12 and going to verse 16 today. And I'm going to talk to you about Satan's drug of choice. There are a lot of drugs out there on the streets today. Back when I was a police officer and an investigator, I used to put people in jail constantly for drugs. Back when I was a narcotics officer, I used to investigate all kinds of crimes being committed because of the use of drugs and the addictions that people had with drugs. And drugs are prevalent on the streets today. Drugs are prevalent in the households today. Drugs are even prevalent inside the schools and with our children today. And church, if we don't wake up, if we do not wake up and begin to see what's going on inside the home, outside the home, in the schools, with our children, then we will lose them forever. It's time that we as parents be godly Christian parents and stand up against Satan and his evil devices that he uses. And I know that a lot of children out there and a lot of you young people out there, you think it's something neat, it's something nice to try, you think it's something that's just going to make you feel good. Let me tell you what drugs do to you. I have seen the effects of drugs firsthand. I have seen what it will do to the body. I've seen what it does to the mind. It will absolutely take you from a normal, perfect state and transform you into a monster, into something grotesque, into someone that has no control over the functions of their life, of their mind, or the faculties that God has instilled inside of you. Drugs is not fun. And the moment you take one little nibble, one little sniff, one little drop, you're hooked. Because the brain all of a sudden has to have that so-called fix. The body has to have that fix. Once that drug has been introduced into the body and the mind takes hold of its psychotic symptoms, you begin a process that we as police officers and former drug addicts use the terminology as jonesing. You have to have that fix. It's in the mind. It's psychosomatic. And psychosymmetry is nothing more than your brain telling you you have to have it. Which can also cause physical vices, stating that your body has to have it, and you go through the jonesing process. But I want us to look at Satan's drug of choice today. In James chapter 1, starting with verse 12, it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man." So we've already excluded God from being the one that tempts us. Now we're going to see where it comes from with verse 14 through 16. But every man is tempted. Christ himself was even tempted. He was drawn away to the mountaintops where Satan offered him and tempted him with everything. He said, everything you see I will give you if you will but follow me. If you will deny God. If you will deny your Father. Christ himself was tempted all the way up until the cross. So don't think that for one moment, you adult, you parent, or you teenager out there are not going to be tempted by Satan's evil schemes while on this earth. It's what he is going to do. It says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. In other words, do not take hold of what's being thrown at you by Satan. Stand fast with God. Call out for help. Call a friend. Call a neighbor. Call a parent. Call whoever you have to, whether it be alcohol, whether it be meth, whether it be whatever, marijuana that you're being faced with. Call somebody. Now those are physical, worldly drugs that I'm talking about. But I want to talk to you about here today is spiritual drug. And Satan's drug of choice is LSD. You say, Rick, what are you talking about? How does Satan choose LSD over other types of drugs, over heroin, over cocaine? Again, I'm not talking about worldly drugs. I'm talking about spiritual drugs. Satan's choice of drugs is LSD. Look at verse 15. It says, then the lust, and I want you to underline L, the letter L in lust. It says, then the lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth what? Sin. Underline the S in sin. Now you're starting to see where we're going. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. I want you to underline the D in death. Satan's drug of choice is lust, sin, and then death. LSD. LSD is one of the most powerful drugs out there. Again, from my past experience as a law enforcement officer, it's a drug that causes you to hallucinate. You will see and imagine things that aren't there. And if someone is sober in the room, most of the time, we as police officers were in the room when someone was on LSD, and they looked absolutely stupid. That's all I can tell you. They were seeing snakes falling off the walls. They were seeing bright colors. They were seeing spiders crawl against them. They were seeing all kinds of stuff that wasn't there. I remember one man, he even yelled out, he screamed at the top of his lungs, there he is, kill him, he's coming to get me, he's got a knife. We tore that house up looking for someone inside that residence, and there was no one there. And when it came down to it, after we got to looking at him and investigating what was going on, he had taken a hit of LSD. LSD is a hallucinogen. It will make you imagine things. It makes you see things. And it makes you see things that aren't real. LSD induces, by definition, LSD induces psychotic episodes or symptoms similar to those of schizophrenia, which is a split personality. You go from your normal personality to a personality that's not normal or that's outside the norm. And you know, if you take lust, sin, and death, you have an even more powerful drug than anything that this world has to offer. And that's just what Satan wants you to get hooked on today. And in order you to get hooked, Satan gives a false perception of what sin can bring upon us, so that we too have no sense of reality when we use his drug. Satan takes great joy and pride in seeing a professing Christian when they exhibit signs of schizophrenia or a split personality. Too many Christians today are suffering from split personalities. They serve God on Sunday, they serve God on Sunday mornings, they serve God on Sunday evenings, and they serve God on Wednesdays. But all throughout the rest of the week, they serve or act like mankind. Whoever they get around, whether it be the boss, whether it be the person that they're working next to, they act like them, they joke with them, and they do whatever. And speaking of work, let me tell you something that I saw today that really made me laugh. I went and I got this grape soda out of the machine, and I looked on the front of it, and it said 100% naturally flavored. So I'm thinking in my mind, this thing's got 100% of grape juice in it, inside of it. I flip it over on the back, and it says, not made with any juice. Now, this soda had a split personality to it. On the front side, it said it was made with 100% natural flavor, giving the impression that it was 100% purely made. On the back side of it, it said no juice was added to this. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this drink is even deceiving me. A soda was very deceitful with what it was stating. And how many of us today are like that drink? On the front side, we show ourselves as 100% pure, but on the back side, when no one's looking, or when we've turned away from the front side, where God is, where Christians are, where the church is, we act completely different. We're full of something that we're not supposed to be full of. And that is one of Satan's ways of deceiving people, of deceiving Christians, of deceiving the church. And remember, Jesus instructed us, you cannot serve God and mammon. He even said, I would rather you be hot or cold than be lukewarm. I want to know which side you stand on. Either you're 100% pure or you are artificial. Make up your mind. The laughter Satan gets out of things on television that we as Christians put up with. Turn the TV off at times. Turn the channel. Some of the things that your children are watching or that you yourselves are watching, allowing to come into your brain, is nothing but Satan's drug of choice. Lust, sin, and death. LSD. And he will use that to manipulate you into falling out of the will of God. There will be ad after ad during Thanksgiving, Christmases, when families come together for the holidays or whatever. Just at the Super Bowl, oh my gosh, at the ads on the Super Bowl. And these ads, they are all drinking their Bud, their Miller Lite, their Old Milwaukee, their Old English, whatever it may be. And one ad even goes just as far to say it doesn't get any better than this. And you usually see this manly man drinking this beer, having a good time with friends, with family. What they ought to do is show a reality commercial of what alcohol will do. What they need to do, and this is going to sound a little harsh to some of you people, but this is the reality of what alcohol will do for you. They need to show a commercial of a man who's just drunk himself a 6-pack or a 12-pack, and he's walking down the back alley, stumbling everywhere, and while he's stumbling, all of a sudden he bends over, he pukes everything up that he's ate all day long, and he holds up a beer as he's stumbling and wiping off his mouth and says, "It's Miller time." That's reality.